What's up, guys? Thanks for watching another Jaguars United video. I am excited because today we are breaking down the top 5 sneaky Jaguar players that may break out that no one's talking about. Before we get to that, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit the notification bell, follow the Instagram, Twitter, all of that stuff so we can stay in contact with each other and so you get notifications whenever we do live shows during the season. Well, let's jump right into it. All right, so my number 5 player that sneakily may break out is center Luke Fortner. Now, he's only 25 years old, got drafted last year in the 3rd round at pick 65, and he stepped in and replaced longtime Jaguar center Brandon Linder, which were some big shoes to fill. He ended up playing in all 17 games last year as a rookie. He didn't miss a single offensive snap, played in 1,254 snaps, and he picked up over $1 million in performance incentives at the end of the season, which was the 3rd highest in the league, basically meaning that he played more than the typical 3rd round pick, and the NFL gives you an incentive if you do that. He was one of the only 2 rookies to start the entire season, and he really turned it on from week 13 on. He only gave up 1 sack, 2 hits, and 9 hurries. He ranked in the 81st percentile in pass blocking from centers, and he only gave up as a total 2 sacks, 7 hits, and only 4 penalties all season. The Jags were 9th in pass blocking efficiency, and he had a lot to do with that, blocking the interior pass rush from a lot of teams. He had great games against Kansas City in the regular season, at Philadelphia, at Indianapolis, and against the Chargers. And I really think stepping into his 2nd year in this offense, him and Trevor Lawrence are going to start to build a rapport even more. Everybody knows that center-quarterback relationship is huge, and it's really important when it comes to leading a team. He's kind of like the captain of the offensive line. He's kind of learning, and for a rookie to step in and do what he did was rather impressive, especially thinking an interior offensive lineman drafted in the 3rd round. I think he surprised a lot of people. So I'm looking for him to take that next step forward, and if you can solidify that center position going forward, that really can help your team, and it really can make your team offensive line play together, play more cohesive, and just be better in the long run. So look for big things out of Luke Fortner, my number 5 player that might break out that no one's talking about. My number 4 player that might break out that no one's talking about is edge rusher Kalevon Chaisson. Now, before you turn the video off, all right, and call me crazy, let me just make my case. I think I can convince you he may have a chance to break out this season. Now, let's go over what we know about Kalevon Chaisson. He was drafted in the 1st round. He was a 20th pick overall, had really high expectations, 6'3", 245. But here's what you got to remember. The guy was always a project, and I hate that word, but more of a developmental player. I mean, he's just now turned 24 like a month ago. That makes him 6 months younger than Ventrell Miller, a linebacker we just drafted this year. And Kalevon's got 3 years under his belt in the NFL. So he's an extremely young player. If you think, we talk about his story all the time on our live shows. The guy went to support his buddy at an LSU football camp in high school, and got offered a scholarship without an invite to the football camp because the coaches were so impressed with his size and athleticism. He only played in 109 defensive snaps last year and 217 special team snaps. But think about the role he's going to have this year, right? You have Dawuane Smoot is going to start the year injured. They lost Arden Key. Both of those guys were guys that came in on pass rush situations. So Kalevon Chaisson's going to have a chance to kind of earn some snaps and really to kind of show some people what he can do in pass rush situations. He missed the first 8 games of last season with a knee injury, so you can't really get too caught up in his snap count. And if you look at what happened last year, he only got more than 15 snaps in one game at Houston. And in that game where he got more than 15 snaps, I think it was around 40 because of an injury, he recorded 3 pressures, 1 sack, 2 hurries, and 3 plays that resulted in an offensive failure. So when given the chance on the field, he kind of was disruptive in the backfield. And it's no secret that his snaps took a major hit when they drafted Travon Walker. But like I said, losing Arden Key, Dawuane Smoot injured, Chaisson becomes the next man up on those passing downs as the edge rusher. Like when you bump Walker into that 5 to 7 technique, now you got Kalevon maybe coming off the edge in those pass rush situation. He's going into his contract year. If he doesn't show something this year, the team doesn't have to pick up his 5th-year option. He's had 3 years in the league to learn pass rush moves. And if he comes out of the gate hot, he may kind of garner some snaps more this season. I could see him kind of developing some momentum and kind of getting on the board with sacks. Josh Allen has said like recently that he knows the defense in and out. He calls him a smart player. He even called him a player that young players look up to. And Pro Football Rumors even said that he was a guy that could be on the trade block. So if some other teams may be interested in him potentially to bolster their pass rush, I don't see why he couldn't gain some momentum early in the season and kind of do something for the Jags. So look out for Kalevon Chaisson. Look out for a guy that may click for him this year. Again, only 24 years old. Still a young guy. I kind of have a feeling about him, and maybe it's just a gut instinct thing, and I could be totally wrong here, but number 4 player, sneaky might break out, Kalevon Chaisson. All right, number 3 player who could break out, and people may not be talking about him enough, is linebacker Devin Lloyd. Now, at 6'3", 235, drafted in the first round last year, the Jags traded up to get him. And after the first 2 weeks of the season, people were pretty pumped about him. He actually started the season pretty well. I mean, he was Defensive Rookie of the Month in September with 16 solo tackles, 6 pass breakups, and 2 interceptions in the first 3 games of the season. Then things kind of started to dissolve for him. He did end up playing in 1,035 snaps, and his run defense was pretty good. Last year, 87 solo tackles. He had good games against Indy, both Chargers games, Denver, and Houston. He did struggle a bit in coverage. Gave up 81.5% completion rate on targets against people he was covering. But he did have those 3 interceptions, and he did have 5 pass breakups. And to be fair, he did have a lingering hamstring issue that was kind of bothering him at the beginning of the season and throughout the season. Remember, he missed a lot of camp because of that hamstring injury. He got benched for Muma, and then Muma got hurt in week 13, and then Lloyd came back and actually played pretty well. I mean, admittedly, he said that he didn't play up to what he thought, but honestly, given that he's a rookie, I'm willing to kind of excuse a little bit of that. We all know the rookie wall is a real thing. Going forward, Balky said that Lloyd could take on more of a pass rush role, which would be interesting because he did have 8 sacks his senior year at Utah, and he did seem to be pretty athletic and look pretty good in that position at Utah. Now, how that translates to the NFL, I'm hoping well, but even if he doesn't really do it there, I think as a linebacker next to Aluakon, it's going to be really good for him going into his second year. Second year under Mike Caldwell's defense. And you got to think traditionally, Mike Caldwell's defense, which I like to think of as the Todd Bowles defense, like they traditionally use linebackers pretty well. And he's too athletic. He's too good. He's too smart and too instinctual to be the player that he was most of last year. I think he's more of that September player. So I'm looking forward to him in his second year in this defense. And I think he's a guy that could really pop off this year and really be surprising. So look for Devin Lloyd to be a guy that kind of sneaks up on people and becomes potentially a really, really good starting linebacker on this really good Jaguars defense. All right, my number 2 player that will break out in 2023 that no one's talking about, and I really wanted to put this player number 1. It was really close, but D lineman Devon Hamilton. Now, at 6'4", 335. He was the 3rd round pick in 2021, pick 73, and he had by far the best season of his career last year. At 610 snaps, he was the 16th best defensive lineman in all of NFL with 400 snaps or more, and the 14th best pass rusher amongst all D linemen in the NFL, according to PFF grades. And that earned him a 3-year, $34.5 million contract extension from Jacksonville in April. So the Jags are projecting good things from him. If you remember last year, he had a great game against the Chargers, Baltimore, Tennessee, and Indianapolis. And he's going into his 4th year, and if he continues to trend the way he's trending and he continues to get better, we could see Devon Hamilton thrust himself into the top 10 defensive linemen in the NFL. And he is so disruptive from the interior, whether he's lined up at the nose, the shade, the 3 technique, and even at times bumped out to the 5 technique outside of the guard or inside shoulder of the tackle. He really knows how to create pressure from the inside. He knows how to knife up the middle. He has really, really quick hands. All the reports from camp are that he's whipping all the offensive linemen, and that his hands are so quick, these offensive linemen can't even get their hands on him to block him. This was a massive steal in the 3rd round by Urban Meyer to get Devon Hamilton. And I really think that he's going to be one of the stars of this defense. And I'm not saying that as a hyperbole. I know we have guys like Travon Walker and Josh Allen and Foyesade Oluokun. We have all these players, Campbell. But I think Hamilton is that good that he will be a player that is going to pop open some eyes, and people are really going to start talking about Devon Hamilton as being one of the premier defensive linemen in the NFL. So look for Devon Hamilton to have a big year. I'm glad he got paid, and I'm really excited about him on this team this year. All right, my number 1 player flying under the radar that no one's talking about that's going to break out in 2023 is safety Andre Cisco. Now, you remember he was the 3rd round pick in that Urban Meyer draft in 2021, and at 6 foot 216, he has great size and speed to play that free safety position. In fact, he played 1,129 snaps last year and showed us that he can cover and he can tackle and come down in the box and play against the run. He only gave up 2 touchdowns all year, and more impressive, he only gave up 100 yards after the catch on the entire season. He's very versatile. Played 176 snaps as a box safety, played 88 snaps as a nickel corner, and he just really showed that he can kind of play everywhere on the field. And as he got more comfortable with the defense, he got better, and he was able to do more things, and Mike Caldwell was able to do more things with him. I kind of think of the way that Todd Bowles uses Jordan Whitehead, Whitehead now with the Jets, but I think Andre Cisco is better. He's a better player, so I think his ceiling is way higher. Andre Cisco was the 18th highest graded safety last year that had over 900 snaps, and that's amongst free safeties and strong safeties, so that's pretty impressive. And only Taloana Hafanga graded out higher last year with 600 snaps or more. That's been drafted since 2021, so really since 2021, he's been one of the best safeties that's been drafted. So I'm expecting big things out of Cisco. I think this year they're going to use him in a lot more different ways, be able to disguise him more, and you're going to see him just really be impactful on this Jaguars defense. And this defense needs these players to step up. They need these guys to get the ball, to get turnovers, and to really get the ball back for Trevor in the offense. And I think you'll see Andre Cisco kind of lead the charge there. I mean, he showed us that he's really talented and that he really can do it all. So I'm super excited about Andre Cisco, my number 1 player to sneakily break out in 2023. All right, guys, thanks for watching another Jaguars United video. I hope you liked the video. Let me know what you think in the comments about my list. Give me some players that are on your list that maybe weren't on mine. Make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure to follow the Instagram and the Twitter, and to be looking out for the live shows that'll be starting here very soon with our first game against Dallas in the preseason on Saturday. I'm super excited. I know all you Jags fans are as well. Well, thank you again for spending your time here watching this video, and until next time, go Jags.